Okay, so now I'm showing you how to adjust the action on the guitar. So in this case I've got a Strat with the usual Strat style tremolo. First thing you're going to want to do is get a capo, however you want us to say it, doesn't matter. And I'm going to stick that on the first fret, like so. There we go, make sure that's on properly. Cool. I've already made sure the guitar is in tune, or in my preferred tuning, which is D sharp or E flat, which is what this guitar stays in. So what you're going to do is get a bit of paper or a bit of card, a thin bit of card, and now with the cap on the first fret, you simply just want to slide the strings about. Not the string, sorry, the bit of paper. You want to slide it about in there, and if you can feel the paper is very hard to move, then the action is too low and there's not enough gap between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. But if you find the paper can just move around really super easy and it sort of just flaps about, then the action is way too high. But here it's fairly loose, but at the same time I can feel there is a little bit of resistance, so the action isn't too far out, I would say, but it does need adjusting. So let's go ahead and now take the capo off. What I'm going to be using to adjust to is the Fender recommended action settings, so the sort of the default factory settings, which I always use on each guitar whenever I'm adjusting the action. I always revert it to the recommended manufacturer action settings. In this case it's a Fender style guitar, so it can be using the Fender recommended action. So for a neck radius of 9.5 inch to 12 inch, which is what this guitar is, on both the bass side and the treble side should be 4/64 of an inch or 1.6 millimeters. So let's go ahead now and I'll zoom up on the guitar and we can get adjusting the action. Okay, so now that we got a close up of the guitar here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab your ruler. In this case I'm using a Stuart McDonald string action gauge, but you can also get any ruler that measures in millimeters, preferably with 0.5 increments on them. So I'm going to get the millimeter side and I'm going to put it up against the 17th fret, which is this one here. Put it up against that. There, and then have a look at the action, and that is the bottom of the string. Don't forget, we're measuring the bottom of the string is just over 1 mil. I guess that's about 1.1, and it should be about 1.6. So this string is a little bit too low, so to go ahead and get a small Allen key like this, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the saddles, and I'm going to turn it clockwise, which will make the saddle higher, or raise the saddle I should say. Don't forget to try and do both sides evenly to start off with, otherwise you'll find one side be higher than the other and it might affect your action. Of course, if you need to raise one side slightly higher, you can do so. So now we're looking at the bottom of the string, and that is just above 1.5 mil on that. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust it slightly higher. Just a tad. There we go, I'm happy with that, but you can probably notice now that's way out of tune. So we need to go ahead and tune it back down to it was. See, that's jumped all the way up to F sharp from D sharp. There we go. Which is why what it might help sometimes is just loosen the string slightly before adjusting the action. So that way, if you're raising it really high, because obviously you're going to be putting more attention on that string. If you've already got in a high tuning, or even standard, and you go too high and of course the string snaps, then you know that's no good. Then you get to watch my video on restringing guitars. So I want to tune that to D sharp. There we go. I'm just going to check that again to make sure that is okay, because the tuning is also going to affect the action of it again slightly. I'm happy with that. So that's that high, low E, sorry, done. And it should say both the bass and treble sides are 1.6, which means so for all of these we're going to go through and do 1.6. So again, on the 17th fret, this is with the capo off, remember, go ahead and place that down, and I can see the bottom of that string. You have to get really eye level with this thing. Is again just over 1 mil, so go ahead. And now, because this is roughly in the same position as the other one in terms of the action, I can probably guess the right sort of amount to twist this by. Put that back on there, and that is now just above, yeah, 1.5, so it's about 1.6. So again, it's going to be out of tune, so let's just put it back down to G sharp. There we go, and then repeat that for all the other strings. And then once you've done that, you can then go through, put the cap on the first fret, and put the card through again if you want to just double check it. But basically, yes, what I do is just go through, set it to how the manufacturer recommends it, and then from there just adjust it based on how I like to play it. That is how you check and adjust action on the guitar. Okay, now the final step is just to make sure there's no parts which are broken. So you can just, again, we can flip the switch, and that feels like it's not jamming up. None of these pickups looks like they've all rusted, or none of the screws. Giving it a little jiggle like that. Looks like none of the screws have actually come loose or anything. The pickups are not moving about. I can't like lift them up and down, push them up and down. This bridge, again, all these saddles, they seem really tight and don't actually seem to be wobbling about, which is good. Check some of these pots. It would also be a good idea as well to plug the guitar in and to play a string, and then just turn the pots to make sure the A, they obviously do their job, as in with the volume, it goes from 0 all the way up to 10, no problem, it turns it up and down. Make sure the tones, make sure they're obviously affecting the tone of the pickup correctly, and make sure that they don't actually crackle. If they crackle, what you can do is the pot may need replacing, but often it's just a case of the pot is a bit dirty and needs a bit of cleaning out. The tuner wise, they all seem to be good. There's no rust on them. We look on the back. I'll take this tuner off here. You can still see there's some wear on the paintwork there, which is just normal on a guitar. But if we look on the tremolo bridge here, it doesn't look like any of the springs are loose or anything. This grounding wire is very important, that is actually, so I found a problem. So you can see here this grounding wire, which should be soldered onto there, yeah, is actually not soldered onto at all, it's broken off. Now, although that isn't a problem, the guitar will still work. What this grounding wire does is, if you know about electrical components, each component should have a ground anyway. But what this will do is this stops all the buzzing and interference from all your components. So if you find you're plugging in, even on humbuckers or single coils, if there is a lot of buzz, or you're finding a lot of interference from external frequencies or any other thing that can interfere with your pickups or components, you may find that the grounding wire isn't quite soldered on, or in this case completely done off. So what I would need to do there is just simply strip this wire back and solder it onto there like that, and then that should be working fine. Other than that, I can't see any issues with it. Everything seems to be fine, and yeah, that's it for checking the condition of the guitar.